The Isuzu KB range is very familiar to South African motorists and South African buyers, and in double cab form has been popular for years. And I'm sure Isuzu fans are very happy to know that Isuzu is continuing in South Africa in spite of the General Motors pullout. You can see the double cab here over here, which, as I said, is familiar. The big wheels, the raised ride height. In a 4x2 version, this one, not a 4x4, but it certainly gives you the look and feel of a off-road ability as well in the vehicle, which of course is so nice to have. But the crux of this particular version is the legend over here called X-Rider. And what they've done over here is they've taken the more basic version with a 2.5 litre diesel engine, which puts out 100 kilowatts, 320 Newton meters of torque. And they've taken that as the basic version, but put a lot of extras onto it to give you a slightly more upmarket feel to, as I said, the more basic version, and coming in at a pretty competitive price as well. You've got your buck over here, which does take a ton approximately, so you've still got your loadability, which is great to have. And obviously for the bucky side of life and the bucky side of living, they've put on the pretty substantial side steps as well to make getting in and out much easier. And certainly if you're somebody like me, you'll see that trying to get in, the side step is a very useful extra item as well to have. Let's take a look at what it's like behind the wheel. Behind the wheel of the Isuzu X-Rider, you'll see the instrumentation is pretty basic, but one of the interesting features is with the 75 litre fuel tank. I've done probably 350 odd kilometers on this test. I don't have the means to measure exact fuel consumption, but after 350 plus kilometers, still have half a tank of diesel available to me, and that's on a 75 litre tank. So it certainly is an economical vehicle for a vehicle of this size. You do have your multifunction steering wheel over here, which does have your phone controls and a volume controls for your sound system. And I'm going to say Isuzu, on a vehicle at 396,000 Rand, nearly 400,000 Rand, I'd really like to see you updating the infotainment sound system, and there should be some form of screen over here, and very much lacking on a vehicle this size. Although you do have rear PDC, park distance control beepers, how about a rear camera as well? I think that would be a very nice addition to the vehicle. You have air conditioning, which works well, very effective, and you come down to your 5-speed manual gearbox, which is the standard on this vehicle. You can see the red detailing all over the place, etc., just to give you that extra sporty feel as the X-Rider version. The gearbox, it's 5-speed, it's certainly effective, but being a double cab bucky, and not a criticism, something one really needs to live with, is the fact that gear shift and clutch are obviously on the relatively heavy side in a big vehicle like this. But it's capable. It can take the load, it can go off-road to a large extent as well without having 4x4. It can do all of those things you want, but remembering that it is a heavy-ish vehicle to drive in the real world and in real life. You've got airbags, you've got everything you want, electric windows, so all those features are there for you as well. One of the advantages and one of the big features of the KB range is the space in the back seat, and we're going to go and take a look at that right now. In the back seat of the X-Rider Isuzu is one of the features of the KB range. If you have a look, the driver's seat is set for myself, and look at all this legroom I have in the back over here. This is spacious. For a double cab bucky, it is really, really spacious. You can see one of the other facts and features of the X-Rider versions is the leather trim, leather seats with, of course, the red stitching, etc. as a detailing. I think just to zhuzh it up a little bit and make it look good. So, the Isuzu X-Rider. That 2.5 litre engine, I've come to a point where I've realized that on a lot of the double cab buggies, you do not necessarily need the largest engine option. If you're going to be towing, you're going to be carrying heavy loads all the time, well, then, for example, in the Isuzu, the 3 litre may be a better option. But this 2.5 certainly has enough pull. It may be a little bit slow off the mark from robots or something like that, but beyond that, it's got more than enough grunt, more than enough power. It cruises very, very well at 120 on a highway and things like that. So it's got all of that for you. I don't think you're lacking anything. It's always a case of you pay your money, you take your choice. Competitors, there are so many of them. I would take another half an hour to list them all. We all know the traditional competitors for this bakkie, but it certainly has to be a contender in the double cab sector of the market. And that's the reason why there are so many Isuzu fans around, because they are reliable, they have a reputation, and they've been around for a long time. And I'm pleased to say they're going to continue being around in South Africa, manufactured in South Africa for a long time to come. For Motor Matters, I'm Eleanor, and I'll see you next time.